welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3 and Category 4.
Less than a kilometre of this race complete, and the Category 4 pack is completely spread across the road, and the gradient now kicking to 7%. You can see why they're spread across the road. This is a really hard start.
They're over the top and they're into the descent already. The speed and the push of this group has gone clear. Selection 1 has been made.
Martinez Geraldo, he's currently the leader on the road, but our Category 3 leader, Aaron, has indeed caught the leading bunch in the Category 4 race. So, one lone leader in the Category 3 race.
They're now putting pressure onto the rest of the riders by sending Michael Knudsen up the road, and Kaminski is having to answer this. Kaminski going in the red zone here. He does not want to let Knudsen go, and Knudsen, he's doing a thing. The group on the right-hand side are not cooperating because SS will not want to chase down his teammate. This could give the win to the clan team in style. They're led by Carlos Andres. Roncalli is coming to him, and this is where the Category 3 riders are pushing. They're going to go over the top of Tom Gates. They've got over him, and Orengo has got the lead here with the red helmet. Orengo's going to take it. Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's Qualifier Race number 2. It is Matt Payne here. We are with you coming live from France. We've been at the side of the Tour de France. And when I say we, my co-host here, Emma Martin, was at the side cheering on, taking pictures of giant snails.
Giant snails, it's very nice to be here. I think there were chickens and lions as well.
Indeed. If you don't know what we're talking about, you need to get yourself to the side of the Tour de France. Go see Tadej Pogacar or the UAE team, and the publicity caravan is a sight to behold, with motorised pretty much everything from coffee machines, which were my favourite, oddly enough, right the way through to household items and food things. It was very odd. It was good fun, and it was nice being a proper cycling fan at the side of the road cheering on our favourites. Hope you're going to cheer on your favourites today in the men's race. We're in Arabia on one of my favourite courses. Emma, take us through the course.
So today we have for qualifier race number 2 on the Sunday Race Club. We're in Arabia, and it is the Jebel Hafit that faces the men today. 45 kilometers of distance, 1,041 meters of climbing, and you can see there is indeed a Category 1 climb at the end, 10 kilometers with an average gradient of 7%, but you will see it hit 12-13% on the way. Now, along the way, before we get to the Hafit, we have got 5 sprint segments of 300 meters and 1 Category 4 climb. Now, that Category 4 climb coming at 16.4 kilometers into this race. It is the aquarium climb, and we will see them drop off of that and into the tunnels. So there is a little bit of something for everybody in this course today. Rolling terrain, sprint segments, a climb in the middle of the race, and then that Category 1 climb to the checkered flag at the top.
Let's see who is going to take it out. Our 4 usual categories: 4 in red, 3 in blue, 2 in green, and Category 1 in yellow. It will be our Category 4 riders who will be setting off first. And as usual, a nice chock-a-block field. Great phrase, chock-a-block field full of riders.
Yeah, 36 riders on the start sheets today in Category 4, an individual competition because we are obviously on our qualifiers, not our final. Now, last week it was Noak, Gutierrez and Kaluma who were the 1, 2, 3. Ramos is back in there. Will we see a fast start? Orego Gomez is in there. Geraldo, Mamba as well, and Astorga. So a pretty packed Category 4 race field today.
It is, and I think we could see one of our more surprise riders taking it away. So here we go. Our riders lined up for the Category 4 race start. The first of our riders away are go here on qualifier number 2 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. 4 qualifiers, 1 final this month. as our riders set off from the start. One rider maybe just being caught out a little at the start. They're going to have to chase back on again. Tough stuff to do that with the pace that is being set down here.
Ooh.
We're at 41 kilometers an hour. I've just seen. We're in with Johnson Kutup at the moment. He's got Royal Villander with him. Looks like Robert Cronier in the mix. Molina, Escursion, Londono in there, and a real fast moving pack strung out already. We're nearly half a kilometre in. We've not been good a minute.
Hot pace from the start today from Category 4. A real push from Velada and Kutab, really making this a hard start for our Category 4 pack. And you can see that with the stretch on the group and the gaps starting to form.
Well, the gaps are indeed, I think, Emma, not just forming, they're being rammed home. These riders, they are not backing off at the moment. And we've seen this with Category 4, a bit like a junior road race of old. It goes out like an absolute express train. This is very tough.
Let's not forget, these groups are really large packs of racers. 36 riders in this Category 4 pack. That is a lot of riders. Now, for viewers who are new to us, the 4 different race categories matched together on ability. So it is like for like racing. It creates really close racing, but we've seen a real growth in riders this year with the MyWhoosh Championships and then post the MyWhoosh Championships, which is phenomenal. 167 riders on the start sheets today, totally combined in the men's race on the Sunday Race Club, but 36 in Category 4. Now, since we introduced this category, it has been growing and growing, and there is now real strength and depth. And we see that because look at that start, trying to make 36 a smaller group, a more manageable group to take out onto this course today.
Well, they've not really achieved a huge amount, I think, by going out.
They have lost some riders.
They have lost some riders, admittedly. But I have to say, you look at this, it is an arrowhead, yes, but it is not lying down. It's not one long line. That traditional, the pressure's on, it's one long line, everybody's really fighting. It shows that with that arrowhead, there are more than one rider. There's more than one rider. There's multiple riders able to ride at the pace into the wind. It's now starting to line, and it is Jan Dekker and Robert Cronier who are starting to pull clear. And this is because, wait for this, they've gone off at 6 watts per kilo.
Well, let's remember the women's race earlier on, no spoilers at all, but it was a pretty flat start for about 8 kilometres in the women's race. It is not like that on this course today for the men. As you can see on the top right-hand corner of your screen in the satellite navigation box, the course is rolling, and you can see where the group are at the moment with that little green arrow indicating they're just coming towards the top of that climb. You can see we're going to go along the top, and then we're going to drop down, and then we roll up another climb, we drop down, we roll up again. This is a continually changing gradient, and the Category 4 riders are utilising that right to their advantage at the moment.
They are indeed. So first category away is Category 4. It has broken with a small breakaway of 3 riders who are clear. Robert Cronier, Jan Dekker and John Back. They have a 9-second lead over Hoyos, Londano, Mamba, and the rest of what is left of the bunch that came out. We're 2.5 kilometers in. We're traveling at 42 kph. 3.5 minutes in, and as you can see, this big bunch of riders are now having to decide what they're going to do as the group in the front push clear. So 3 escapees, much like yesterday's stage, in fact, on the tour. There you go. That's an amazing parallel within the start of the racing already. Let's see if we're going to get the same in Category 3. First step up from Category 4, and our riders, another big race field here, Emma.
Yeah, so not quite as large today, 29 riders in Category 3, but the quality is there. So Aaron, Pleasure, Roncalli, Orego, Bala, Dromard, Lloyd, Abello, Tortoretto, Staples is here, as well as Winfield and Dadson.
And Tom Gates.
Yep, indeed.
There you go. You picked out about 10. I picked out 1. Well, today could be Tom Gates' day. There you go. You heard it here first. Sorry, Tom, if it's the commentator's curse. We will find out because our riders are lined up, ready to go. We're into the last few seconds prior to race start.
So turning the legs in the start pen at the moment is our Category 3 race field. They are go on the Sunday Race Club. This is qualifier race number 2 for July, and the Category 3 men are up and out of the start pen cleanly away.
So all this group together, nobody making a split yet. However, we are still in the first few hundred meters, and it is a smaller bunch, isn't it? I mean, that basically means less draft effect, generally less advantage, but this is a category up, so it should be quicker.
It should, but it's still a large group. You know, we've still got over 20 riders in this leading pack. We're in with Rob Miller from the USA at the moment, nicely sat into that group and nicely sat in the draft. You can see his numbers on the top right-hand corner of your screen. His watts are in green, 223 at the moment, indicating he is in the draft. When they turn black, no longer in the draft. You can also see other data for that rider on that top left-hand corner of your screen. So currently 94 RPM, revs per minute of his pedal cadence, and a heart rate of 134. So as we sit in the pack at the moment, a much steadier start from this Category 3 race field than our earlier Category 4.
Well, let's see what they do as this race continues onwards. Remember, of course, we have 5 minutes between categories 4 and 3. 10 minutes between categories 3 and 2, and 5 minutes between categories 2 and 1. So a little bit longer gap now between category 3 and 2 race starts, which means we'll get a chance to see how our first 2 categories progress on the course. We talked, Emma, about this being a steadier start. Now, one of the ways that we can actually measure that is with the segments that are out on course, the sprint segments, the climb segments. They measure the time through. So it's not like if you're watching the Tour de France, we're going to talk about it a little bit, obviously, today, given that we was at the side of the road cheering yesterday. If you're watching that through the segment, it's basically first through. It's not done on a time basis. So the first through the sprint is the first rider over the line. The second rider in the climb will be the second rider over the top of the climb. Here, it's not. It's done on time basis, yeah?
Absolutely, it is indeed done on time basis, and these segments give us an indication of what's happening in those 4 race fields, and quite often our assumptions are not correct because of the tactics that are underway in each race. So 4 race fields on the course all at once. Our category 4 riders starting first, our category 3 10 minutes between category 3 and category 2, and then a further 5 minutes until our category 1 riders are on the course. Those segments along the way helping us see what's going on.
So let's see who's going to take this out. Our riders at the moment making their way down. Remember, of course, that these riders are all fighting for prize money in their individual race categories. So category 4, doesn't matter what everybody else does on the course, you are fighting. These are the same in the men's and the women's competition, parity across both sexes. So 2,160 AED for the win in the qualifying races. It's the same for the individual win in the monthly final. So 5 opportunities to take away individual prizes this month, but only in the monthly finals do you get the team classification as well, which really does ramp up the pressure and changes the tactics. But the further up the categories you go, the higher the prizes.
Absolutely. So category 3 advanced from category 4. You can see in the qualifying races it is 3,600 AED for the win, and in that team classification of the monthly final, 18,000 AED for that first place in the team competition in category 3.
So the category 3 riders, the first step up from category 4, and as you go up you ramp up the prices as you'd expect. So 30,000 in our monthly final for the teams, but each of our races in the Sunday Race Club this month, 6,000 AED for the win in category 2. Massive prize fund, and 5th place 1,200 AED. Now it's very hard to win all of these. It has been done, in fact, in category 2 with somebody taking the win in every single qualifier on the way through. It is doable. It's even harder though in category 1, and look at the individual top price on here. 5 figures, 10,000 AED, And for the team competition at the end of the month, 50,000. So you can see why we're attracting such top quality riders, people like Michael Vink riding on the UAE team, Jason Osborne, who is here, I think, today riding for the Phoenix de Koenig squad. So he will be here, the de Koenig rider, going to be in action, I think.
Yeah, so interestingly, while Matt indicates that you can indeed take home a massive prize pot if you can win all the rounds, and not very regularly that happens. So most months, around 40 different riders will take home prize money on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, but normally around 40 different individuals taking home some form of prize money over the month.
Which is great to see, but to do that, you've got to have a verified ride. And one of the things all of the riders will be doing, whether they are racing competitively every single qualifying ride or not, is that they will be wanting to get a verified ride in. Now, a verified ride is when your results are then confirmed by the team at MyWhoosh. And one of the reasons you wouldn't get a verified ride would be if your data didn't match. All of our riders having a dual recording, so they've got to have two sources of the power meter that match up within the correct allowance. There's other ways of checking. There's a lot of AI that's been in the background for the last 2 years, a lot of experience in working out who can do what and where and when, and all of that is combined. Now, we're obviously not going to tell you all of the things behind the scenes that make that happen, because that would basically mean that we'd probably null and void some of it. However, the riders that are out and racing at the moment, they need that verified ride in. They need 2 in to make it into the monthly finals for that same prize. At the moment, as you can see, Alex Pledger, a rider who we've got lots of data on because he rode in the MyWhoosh Championship, off the front of the race, attacking hard in category 3. Tortoretto and Abello right behind, and then it is the bunch. Winfield in here, David Winfield, Luca Bala, looks like Ron Carly in there, Guarin Bala. Really big group behind, but at the moment it's Alex Pledger, very fast rider in category 3, who is starting to stretch his legs and make his way off the front of the group. The response has come. Will they be able to close him down? Well, we will have to wait and see. This is going to be really interesting to see how they do as they go on. We are on to one of our rolling sections here in between the sand dunes, and at the moment it looks like the chasing group has come together, leaving one rider solo, and I suspect Alex Pledger would have wanted to have a little bit of company out there rather than trying to go solo to the finish.
So the category 3 race field continuing to push and continuing to ride as a large group. Category 4 on the right hand side of your screen, they are 3 kilometers further down the road, a little more stretched, but as you can see from the top right hand corner, they are now on a small climb section. It's steep, it's 5.5%, and that is what is stretching this group at the moment.
Well, category 4, category 3 well underway. Another move now in category 4. It looks like that's going to be Vargas Butt, who is on the attack here, and looks like he is just starting to push. They come out from the section up towards the roundabout at the moment. However, this is just 2 of our categories that are underway. We've still got plenty of riders to come, because of course here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, 4 categories racing. Category 4, the standard category. Category 3, the first step. Category 2, the penultimate category. Category 1 are elite top of the race field. Now, mentioned Tom Gates in action. Looks like Tom doing his best to live up to his billing by me, at least, on his way up here in category 3. Don't worry, Tom, Emma does remember you every now and then. Tom, of course, a great man for streaming. Have a look. Go onto YouTube and have a look at Tom Gates' videos. Great streaming from Tom.
Well, interesting to see Gates go to the front. Winfield, Pledger and Dadson are doing the marking as we're down in the pen with our category 2 race field.
So the category 2 riders in the race field. Emma, we've got some of our regular UAE Falcons with our Maitri Altanajian Hampton in here, the KM brothers, but there's some really big names in this as well, isn't there?
There are indeed 39 riders on the start sheet today in Category 2. Now, Biarhead was on form last week, taking the win. Back on the start sheets today. Be interesting to see if he can indeed make that. Now, Simeons is here as well. Was pipped on the June final by Graves. Let's see whether he can come back and take the win today.
So here we go into Category 2, a race start, the penultimate category to set off from our pens down here and head out into town. We are go, we're away, and this is where the riders have to be in contention early, get distance now. You're not going to see the group until you get over that finishing line at the top of the Jebel Havik, but it looks like almost everybody getting out safely from those beds and making the way on course. So Quadrelli leading this out, another fantastic name here on the Sunday Race Club. Nicholas Spratt in here, Ospina in here, Il Pino is in here, Caligula's in here. Do you know what? I could just read the whole start list. It is, there is nobody in here that I look at and go, they're going to struggle. Everybody in here, I'm just looking at and going, this is going to be tough.
It's going to be a great races, Category 2 race. They have been up and over 40 kph within the first 500 metres, and the pack is rolling really strongly today in this Category 2 race. Phillips is in there, Quadrelli, Smythe, Oviedo, Gonsolin, Cadiz is in here as well. So is Cayen and Phillips. As you say, Matt, we could go on and on and on. This is a class Category 2 race field.
I have to say, most of the time when I'm commentating, I am itching to be in the race. I'm wanting to race with the riders. Today,
you're not, are you?
No, I'm looking at this Category 2. This is where probably I think if I was racing, I'd be sat in with this group. This is about my level. I'm not fast enough, quick enough, or young enough to be in Category 1 anymore. Definitely Category 2 would be about, I think, where I'm at. I don't think we've quite dropped to Category 3 yet. That's probably another few years away. But this time round, Category 2, I think I would have it handed to me big style, because this is just such a class field. You can't watch one rider. You've got to watch everybody. Filippo Quadrelli already nailing this. I've just seen 400 plus watts come out of him on the way across this little slope here. It's just absolutely going to be frantic, and I don't think there's anybody here who's going to let it just ride into the climb. Paolo Kirchner in here. I mean, Il Pino, we know all the time. We've got riders in here like Avedo, who's going to be good on the climb. Cam Winfield is one of those really bright emerging talents that we expect to see internationally. Olivier Simmons, he's somebody I've raced against, and I know how hard he can ride. He's
also on form at the moment. You know, third last week, second in the June final. He is on a roll at the moment and coming into form at the right time, as we see the youngster Cam Winfield pushing on this little climb. Now look at the stretch and the damage that 8.4 watts per kilo from Cam Winfield has done to the group. Nicholas Spratt is the rider covering the move and ensuring it continues, and the Category 2 race field is one long line behind them.
And they're going to need to push on here. The gaps have not opened in that group behind. I think what they're trying to do here is bring the group down, not take all these contenders into the finish climb. They are trying to get rid of bodies early, bring it down, but they don't want to go clear with two riders against that group. They're just basically making hard work, but they've not split enough riders out. You want to have a lead group. I would suggest at this stage 10 to 20 riders. 15 would be ideal at this stage. No less, no more than that. Any more than 20, you've got too many contenders. Less than 10, you're not going to make it in quick enough.
Well, you've got to start somewhere, and it is indeed Spratt and Winfield who are making the action in Category 2. Category 1 still in the start pen at the moment.
Category 1 are indeed. We're at 1 minute to go for the riders in Category 1. They can see the Category 2 riders have disappeared off down the road. This is the top of the tree. We have teams in here regularly. They've got so much pride. It's the Italian Gelato squad, the UAE clan team, and the Belgian Waffles squad here, and they are teams to watch, along with some incredibly talented individuals. You mentioned Phil Graves. He's moved up back into Category 1 now. We've got a number of real contenders up here.
We do indeed. 63 riders on the start sheets of Category 1 today. And you're right, Matt, you mentioned Jason Osborne. He is on the start sheet. Going to be interesting to see whether he does take the start today after finishing second in the Tour of Austria recently, where he went head-to-head with his MyWhoosh Michael Vink.
Well, head-to-head with Michael Vink versus Jason Osborne out on the Tour of Austria. It's time for our riders to be good to go.
So in the pen as the seconds tick down and away go, Category 1 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. We are up and out of the start pens for Qualifier Race number 2 in July. The pace hot at the front. It is moving fast. We've got the 5-6 watts per kilo coming out from the front of this pack, really stretching this race field. Zanaska's in here, Bjorkland, Nair, Vujasin is here, so is Dan. Graves is the rider leading it out from the front. Popovic is here as well as Knudsen. So it is a class field today on the Sunday Race Club in Category 1, and I think we are in for some really great racing.
I'll guarantee it. Look at that. Phil Graves. Thank you, Phil. Phil Graves on the attack from the word go. Nice to have you back, buddy, in Category 1. Not sure everybody else is going to think that as Phil Graves goes on the attack from kilometre 0. This is what's known as the suicide move of the day. And you know what? I wouldn't put that past Phil Graves to take it to the finish if they give him chance. But I think his reputation goes before him. But look at this. I tell you what, maybe the mad Yorkshireman has got too much sunshine. So I think there were storms actually up in the Yorkshire area yesterday into today. So maybe it's just a bit of water on the brain or something. He's gone a bit mad.
Well, I don't know. Graves does like a fast race and a fast, hard hour in the Category 1 race when he joins it. And he's doing that exactly today. So ensuring that the pace is high, but that group are tightly bunched behind him. Take a look at that top right-hand corner of your screen, viewers. Gives you a really good indicator of what is going on in the bunch at the moment. So we've got one rider in yellow out the front. That is Philip Graves. Then a very tight bunch of riders coming into the bottom of this small rise all together, now just stretching as the gradient starts to pick up, and it's Popovic and Mayer, Hoyas and Theme who are doing the stretching on the front and bringing Graves back.
And you can actually catch up with Custom Mayor on Instagram. He's one of the regular riders and contributors on there. Some great pictures from him climbing the mountains, and some very nice bikes as well. But a rider who's one of our regulars also here on eSports, and great to see him in here. Rose, a beast mode squad rider, and right up in the mix with regulars. I mean, this is a who's who of eSports. Van Elst, Mayer, Dan, Vujasin, Nair. You know, riders who compete at every level from Olympic right the way through to World Championship, and of course regulars here on the Sunday Race Club, and they're ripping the action up here. Pablo Popovic for the UAE Clan team very quickly onto Phil Graves' wheel here. I don't think the UAE Clan team are going to let Phil Graves go very far without having a rider on his back wheel today.
Well, Popovic is the rider to put onto his back wheel because we know Pablo Popovic can climb, and this is the type of climb that will suit Popovic. It is very, very steep.
And we call Pablo Popovic a momentum master. This is a commentary nickname for Pablo. True. Today's finish, if we were to scroll forwards, best part 42.6k, you find yourself in the very finishing throes of the race, and what you'd find is a dip and a rise. That suits Pablo Popovic and his timing down to the ground. He seems to have the knack of making up places at will across the very top of the summit. He's a rider who knows how to use the dynamics of racing to his advantage, and that momentum is key. You'll hear Emma say that. I will guarantee it at some point during today. Momentum is key on MyWhoosh, and you know what? She's not wrong. Now, one man who also knows this course inside out, it is, of course, Mr. X100, who's deep into this pack. He is the road captain. He's the man who stitches together. He's right-hand man here is SS, along with Pablo Popovic and Michael Nussen. The UAE clan team, always very, very strong. They're up against the Belgian Waffle squad. Jason Osborne due to take the start. Just looking to see. I don't know that I've seen Jason in here, but it wouldn't surprise me if he didn't just hide out the way and then pop out towards the end. But we'll see if he's managed to make the start. As Emma said, just been kind of busy.
Well, I think all of our riders are kind of busy. You know, there's a large number of professional riders in here, professional triathletes, all using the MyWhoosh platform and the Sunday Race Club as part and parcel of their training and racing program. Some of them are indeed esports specialists, but others do mix and match their racing. So our first sprint, our first segment of the day, you can take a look through there and you can see it is not our category 1 rider setting the fastest time. It is indeed Il Pino from category 2. So category 2 pushing on during this section of the course, 24 seconds, 0.6. Though category 1 not far behind, so a real mix there of category 1 and category 2 riders in that top 12, all setting similar times.
And because category 2 in theory would be slower, that shows that category 2 are really giving it some. At the moment, it's a reflection of that aggressive racing. And despite Phil Graves' best ever, category 1 not substantially faster on the way through now. Just keeping an eye on these riders as they go through. This is your leading pack of chasers. It is the pack. It is not the leaders on the course. Just watching Mr. X100 sat at the back of this group. He's just making sure that he's sat taking the draft as much as possible, because this is where having a teammate down the road in Pablo Popovic, this basically means the UAE clan team can say, yeah, we're not chasing. We're not going to do anything. It's down to you guys. Pablo Popovic can go, do you know what, Phil? I can't help, because guess what? I've got teammates behind me. Best case scenario in any race, you have a breakaway and you have a rider in the breakaway, and you have a big group of riders in the pack behind, because you just don't work. That
group is 10 seconds now behind Graves and Popovic. As we take a look at the category 2 race, they are 8 kilometers nearly into this 45-kilometer course, and they are on this short climb, so currently 5.3%, and it is just stretching the group. We've got one rider just off the front going round the roundabout ahead of this chasing group, but this is still a very large group indeed in category 2. And the rider down the road, 3 seconds down the road, is Nicholas Spratt.
Now, Nicholas Spratt had a great tour, the MyWhoosh Championship. He has time and time again shown he's really, really strong, hasn't he? He's one of those riders that we know is always going to be in the mix, and he will take the racing to the rest of the pack. And it is advantageous to set the pace, to basically dictate what everybody else does, because if you're not dictating it to them, they're likely to be dictating it to you. And that is where being at the front, being the rider who is the driver and the instigator of the moves, you are the rider who controls what is happening, and it's so much easier than being handed it by somebody else who then makes you work to their tune. That much more difficult, and you will expend a lot more energy. Very rare that two riders are going to do exactly the same thing at the same time.
Well, Spratt had 2 top 5s in June, not made the top 5 yet this month, but today could indeed be the day.
And would you say that he, like Pablo Popovic, is going to be the sort of rider who's going to go clear and break away? I mean, it's very key. It's really telling here. Lionel Justin has come across the gap.
He has indeed.
That we didn't see that happen. That's like almost teleporting. I mean, that's fast.
I don't think he teleported. I do think he pedalled. But Vujasin has indeed come across the group and joined Graves and Popovic. And that gap now going out, it was 10 seconds last time we were in with the 2 riders. Now that 2 riders is 3. It's gone out to nearly 15 seconds. The group behind now switching on a little bit, because Hoyestan, Nussen, Nair, all now starting to move a little bit quicker on the front.
And you just saw that emote coming out, that little finger pointing downwards, doing the circle. That means let's work. Let's work together here and let's see what we can do. Because let's face it, if you're in that group of 3, it's much better to be 3rd out of 3 than it is to be 6th out of 6.
Well, it's
because
really,
you're not in the prizes.
It's really interesting, isn't it? 63 riders on the start sheets today. We know not all of them have started because I haven't seen Osborne's name on this list. So making an assumption he's not taken to the start today. But currently we've got 3 riders leading in a breakaway of around 15 seconds. 13 riders, it looks like, in the chase group.
And that is very interesting, isn't it? Because we've got a very quick selection has been made from the gun. Phil Graves' move, pushing clear, then being joined by Popovic, then by Vujasin. I think the riders know that today may be a little bit different. And I'll tell you something, maybe it was fate that we saw 3 riders go clear yesterday in the Tour de France. We've seen the same in previous categories, seen the same now in
Do you think they watched
1.
the Tour and are trying to replicate yesterday's tactics?
Well, I hope they replicate the tactics and not Mark Cavendish. And
I
gotta
know,
say,
what an absolute shame.
I've had the pleasure of meeting Mark on a number of occasions, and I've seen him, particularly when he's been with the crowd. Mark, get well soon from everybody here at MyWhoosh. You may ride for the Astana squad rather than the UAE team, but you know what? We were absolutely willing you onwards, and I know that you're going to be back and together pretty quickly, but it's some record that man has, and I'm not sure any of our riders are going to be able to manage to match that for a long time. He's got a great track record, but let's hope it's not going to be that for anybody. That takes some doing on esports. It's it might be just as close on the avatars, but in real life it's definitely not the case.
Well, just jumping in with the category 3 race, and we're seeing Staples and Gates continuing to try and push on here. Another small rise, and this is really interesting, this course, because there is small rise after small rise after small rise. The terrain is very, very rolling. In between our 2 climbs today, we've got a category 4 climb coming at around the midpoint, and then our category 1 climb where the checkered flag can be found 10 kilometers skywards at the top. Now, Gates and Dadson picking up the pace, but that big pack of category 3 riders all together. Now, going back to category 1, it's Fawcett who has had enough of Popovic, Vujasin and Graves being down the road. Ross Fawcett is the rider trying to bring the gap back.
Well, he's got to get across. He needs to move fast if he wants to be in with that group. And I would suggest if that leading group was 4 or 5 riders, let's say it was Fawcett and Knudsen, who are currently the riders closest, that would be some leading pack. Now, Michael Knudsen on the move here. He doesn't want to let Ross Fawcett go up the road. He doesn't want to let that gap go. He's got Nair and Darn there, and Zanaska, and Van Els. This is going to be close.
Well, this is the issue, isn't it? Because when one rider is away, Phil Graves, that's fine. No one's chasing. Popovic goes over from the UAE clan team. The pack are happy to leave them out. Vujasin joins. All of a sudden, this is getting dangerous. 3 riders are down the road. Ross Fawcett decides to try and make it 4. Well, hold on a minute. That means they're fighting for 5th place. Absolutely not having it. And now we see the pack respond, because more than 3 riders down the road, they are not happy.
Well, they're not happy. They are on the way in, and they are making the way towards the mountain eventually, but we got lots of terrain between them and that mountain. The Jebel Havit that rounds out the course. They are at 8.7k, and we have had an absolute lorry load of action already. It's been absolutely frantic. We're in with our leaders on the course, Pablo Popovic, Lionel Vujasin and Phil Graves. They've got the gap on Fawcett, who is still the nearest chaser. However, behind the alarm bells have rung. They are now on the move, and this group of 3 know that this is a critical moment. They need to keep pushing, but they can't afford to go too hard, because they will not want to expend all that energy before they get into the finale. Now, Michael Knudsen's push, he has come out of the pack, and he's got a 2nd on Nair, a 2nd on Van Els, 2 on the riders behind, but I think this will come together. They don't want to let Fawcett join. I think I was absolutely 110% spot on with the analysis there. This group are going to come back, but in doing so, as they come back, what's going to happen? They're going to bring Mr. X100 back into the fold, and you are going to see the clanting with numbers, you're going to see these riders coming back together again. Now, let's take a look. So we've got Christoph Thiem trying to get back in, but he's 36 seconds down. Carsten Mayer, 30 seconds down. Again, absolutely top-class riders. Distance here. Now, we've just gone through into the next sprint. That is the Abu Dhabi sprint. And this is going to be a really interesting snapshot because I think we're going to have a real mix of riders up here. We have now Knudsen and Nair trying to go across the gap. We're right up there. Van Elst up in the mix. Then you've got Category 2, and we know that everything has well and truly hit the fan there in Category 2. They've been riding incredibly hard from the start. They had Aikau in there, Mr. X100, Vidal Mayer, and Emma. Can you even find the guys who are actually leading in Category 1?
I am having a look, and I'm having to scroll right down. Do you know, Vujasin, 28th.
Vujasin, so 28th. So that shows you that the chasers behind and the riders behind are putting in the faster times through that 300-meter sprint. Now, this is Fawcett with Knudsen, with Van Elst in there, with Mr. X100 behind. This is a group I suspect that is likely to come together. David Darn is pushing on here. In front, though, you can see that the leaders are continuing to squeeze. And I'm not sure that we don't have a solo rider off the front here. And who is going to be attacking at this stage? Well, it's going to be, should have guessed, shouldn't I? Phil Graves again, continuing the attack onwards.
Well, do you know what? I love Ross Fawcett's progression on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
Yeah.
You know, since he joined, he was finishing, or when he joined, he was finishing around the top 20, so around that 20th position. He has ridden week in, week out, and really learned and understood and mastered the platform and understood the tactics of the Sunday Race Club. Phenomenal sprinter, but also learning the other parts and parcel of his racecraft to develop as a great rider on the Sunday Race Club.
Well, I'm sure Ross will let us know. He's one of the riders who gets in touch. You can get hold of me. It's at Matt Fixer Payne, and you can get hold of Emma at Biking Emma. But do get in touch if you want to get if you want to tell us what you've done to get better. But I'm sure Ross will tell us. Maybe he's been on the training programs. There's well over 700 training programs on the MyWhoosh platform to get better. We have some specific Tour de France ones which cover climber, ruler, sprinter, and there is a prize involved as always, as you would expect here on MyWhoosh. And Emma, what can riders win if they get involved with the training platforms, and not just win by getting better, but what can they
well, if you
win?
Complete all of the Tour de France 2023 workouts, you stand a chance to win a signed jersey from one of the UAE squad riders.
Yeah, so that, I think in the women's is Marta Bastinelli, and then a certain Tadej Pogačar.
Indeed.
Yeah. Currently lying, he took 10th on the stage yesterday on the run into Limoges, but today's going to be a big battle, Puy de Dôme.
Well, it is indeed, and a beautiful part of France that is. But in talking about getting in touch with us, please do, let us know which Airbnb you are in racing on the Sunday Race Club around the world. We've had Airbnbs in different countries. We've had camper van pictures in rural areas of Ireland. Let us know where you are if you are not at home. Now, talking about where they are, this is the third sprint, the third segment, and look at that, it's 3 Category 2 riders setting the fastest time through there of 21 seconds. Phillips, Ospina and Uys are all pushing on there. That tells me the Category 2 race is as light as our Category 1 race today.
Well, I'm just looking actually at Henry Uys's setup. He has got a really nice Sunday Race Club setup. He's got a fan just blowing straight in his face. He's got the bike set up nice. He's got the screen right in front of him as well. He's got the course profile taped to the shelf with the screen on it. He's set up ready to go. Henry on the social media. If you're on social media and you race, you want us to know what you're getting up to, please tag us in, give us a follow, send us a message. If you are riding somewhere weird, indulge Emma's strange wishes. And
I love the idea of where people set up their turbo trainers.
Exactly. Or if, like me, you'd much rather know how many coffees, ice cream, stroke, what racing you've been up to, let us know.
Can I just say, people have tagged Matt in on ice cream photos.
It does happen. It's mandatory for commentary that you love ice cream. We've even managed to convert Emma into a gelato fan. That's not necessarily Italian gelato, because that would be biased, because they are, of course, a team here.
Well, we regularly see the Italian gelatos, the Belgian waffles, and the UAE clan team fight it out in the monthly final on the Sunday Race Club. But today it is our individual riders who are fighting it out, and we've got Category 1 currently coming up for 13 kilometres, Category 2 at 15.7k. A little further down the road, Category 3 at coming up for 20 kilometres. It's looking like Gakes and Staples are away, with a long line of riders coming through those tunnels, coming to the top of that Category 4 climb. And Category 4 looking like Kaluma and Decker are clear at 21.7 kilometres into this 45-kilometre race.
Well, this is going to be an absolute cracker. You could just sense it when they went out absolutely like a rocket from the gun. And this is a course, Emma, that really, really generates tough racing. It generates the action, doesn't it? As you can see, the riders here, Decker with Kaluma in Category 4 down the road, but not sure for how long. This is a big pack of leaders here in Category 3. And when you've got the firepower in here, Sabalas in here, Mortado, Arrego, Staples, Pleasure, Aaron, this is a pack that are going to move quick, and they're going to use that draft. That none of these guys are going to hang around, and they're going to be motoring at pace. And I think this group, if they come together into that final climb, they are going to try and rip each other's legs off. There's no way that they are going to take this easy on that climb, because they're already doing this. And we're on to the descent down. We've just gone over the little step in the descent, and it is stringing out on the way down. Normally you'd not see this, but they're traveling at 60 kilometers an hour.
Well, I know, and let's just have a little revisit of that final climb. It is a Category 1 climb. The Hebel Hafit is the climb the riders are facing at the end of this course today. It comes at 34.5 kilometres. It is 10 kilometres in length with an average gradient of 7%. Now, that may sound okay to you, but it gets steep, very, very steep.
It doesn't sound okay to me.
14% our riders will have under their wheels on the way, and it is a climb that just keeps on giving.
Only you could say a climb that keeps on giving out pain, hurt, suffering. Great action for us to talk about.
Giving out grace racing is what I'm thinking today. So Category 1 now, the group pushing on. Category 2, this is a large group of Category 2 riders at the front of that race. Category 3 still all in that race together. They're starting to pick up the back markers in Category 4. You can see that red jersey in the pack. But Category 4 themselves, it is Decker and Kaluma who are clear of the rest of the race field as they continue to push on. They are now 24 kilometers into this race.
So Category 4 is explosive, and now it's going to be Vida Mayer who has gone off the front of this group of chasers in Category 1. He wants to try and get across at the moment, though. Look at the time gap.
Plus 20
seconds up to the leaders from Mayer, and Mayer has a gap back to Nuts, and it's only a second or so. But this really is incredible action here today on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. We've got Vidar Mayer now being pulled back. It's Bjorklund who goes over the top at 8 watts per kilo. He does not want to get caught out. And that's one of the things. There is a fear in the riders. They don't want to be caught on the wrong side of a split or caught out by a change in momentum.
Well, at 20 plus seconds, put my teeth back in, at 20 plus seconds, it's a dangerous gap to give those three riders, because Vujasin, Popovic and Graves able to continue to push on, and they are. The chase from behind, you know, Knudsen is there working, so is Fawcett, but they are not pushing as hard as the three at the front.
And we are seeing these little splits, these little breaks. Just keep on being a little nudge, a little dig here, a little dig there. I mean, it's just keeping the pace high, because it's not like they're all coming back together and then pausing. And in the pause, the speed's coming off. the pausing is happening because people are just being caught back at pace. So it is really, really frightening. You can just see that there's always somebody prepared to have a go up the road. Michael Knudsen currently at 5 seconds, Van Elst at 3, and all of a sudden people are at panic stations. And you gotta say, I mean, we do say about Phil Graves, he's always going to go on the attack, but I'll tell you something, he's really started something today.
Yeah, he has indeed started something. The question is who is going to finish it. So Fawcett Nair, Bjorkland, X100, Mel, Zanaska, Vanden Eckhart, all in this chasing group, and they are chasing hard. They've got riders down the road. So Van Elst is at 8 seconds. Graves, Popovic and Vujasin are further down the road. So this is absolutely frantic now, trying to pull riders back. Van Elst and Knudsen 7 seconds down the road. They are all over the place.
They're all over the place, and it's only going to get harder now. We've just hit the start of the the aquarium climb. Let's get the right climb. The aquarium climb here, and they are on the way up the ascent. It is a tough climb. Remember, this climb is a 3.3 kilometer climb, average gradient of 2.9%. That is basically because it dips and rolls all the way through it. But this is where it gets tough. Now, the fastest times up here so far in category 4, the fastest time 7 minutes 51.9 from Jan Dekker, who's the leader on the road in category 4. The fastest category 3 time is 7 minutes and 4 seconds.
Yeah.
By Tom Gates. So Tom Gates setting the fastest time in category 3. We're waiting for category 2 and category 1 riders to get to that point on the climb. But when you look at the pace that they are moving, that is not going to hold because there is just such a pace going on. Now, category 1 riders, look at the strain, look at the stretch, look at the damage that's being done. And I'll tell you something, this constant hitting into the red zone and the yo-yoing is not doing Mr. X100 any favours.
No one is hiding in the group today and coming out to attack the last 10 kilometres. There is no chance of using those tactics because of these 3 men. Popovic, Graves and Vujasin are continuing to push on. 13 seconds back to Knudsen, Hoyas and Zanaska, then even further back to the group.
So 3 leaders currently clear at the front of the category 1 race. They've got chasers behind, spread out all across the road. They are working the way up. Zach Ned being distanced now from those chasing group by about 30 seconds. That's a big enough gap that it's going to be almost impossible to pull back with the ferocity of the racing here today on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Category 1 is fearsome. The pace is so hot, I'm surprised it's not boiling the water over the top of the aquarium.
We've got 3 away, 4 chasing, and then 4 chasing. All that coming back together again in those chase groups now. So 3 away clearing category 1 with a chase group of 8.
13 seconds the gap at the moment. The 8 chasing coming back together and splitting again this time round. It's Mr. X100 and Lucas Zanaska who have come through holding a pace through here. They are trying to chase down the riders in front. And I think Mr. X100 has marked out Zanaska here so that Zanaska can't get across. He will want to keep the strength in depth. Quickly joined here by Michael Knudsen. So Knudsen on his way up here.
They can see them.
They can. That is a very close and very, very big character chase. The riders in front. The gap is minimal because remember, as we go up the climb, the distance and the gap that you can see will come down.
Well,
and
we've
now
lost another one.
Another one's gone. Come on, Emma. Who we lost? Do we know?
Well, that's a really good question. I can't see on the list at the moment, but it's looking like we've got challenges at the back of the group as it starts to stretch. Hoyas and Van Elst, Fawcett are all towards the back of that group. Zanaska is there as well. So just some gapping on that group as it continues to push on this climb, and it's doing danger all over the place today.
It is indeed. So Eduardo Parisi is the rider who they've just gone past in category 2. And let's watch these riders up on the front. Grace, Popovic and Vujasin. So the riders here, you can see they picked up another rider from category 2 at the moment. So they're trying to keep it clear that if they get a little bit of a hand on the way down, they're not going to say no thank you. They're going to want to have as many people with them as possible. But look behind them. You can see the danger. You can see the bodies. You can see the other group. But they are keeping everybody on their toes.
They need to keep pushing. They just need to keep pushing up and over the top of this climb and down onto the descent. If they can get over the top before the group make the juncture, the momentum of the downhill will push them away and give them a little bit more motivation. But Knudsen and X100 are on the front of the group, and Fawcett is still digging. Fawcett is still in here with Zanaska and Mare, absolutely nailing this today.
Well, Juan Hoyos has been hovering in this group as well, and he's not doing too much work on the front here. Really interesting. If anybody has saved energy here, I think it's Hoyos. As Knudsen now bridges across, he's going to get onto the wheel, I think, of adjusting, and this is where it's key. We're going over the top. Look at the percentage gradient, top right-hand side of your screen in the yellow. It now goes to grey. We're going to go into the descent. We come through the top of the climb. Now, the fastest time prior to this was Simmons. He took it down to a 6:14. Popovic has come through. I think he may well have this. We wait for official confirmation of the times over the top. But as this group are battling in category 1, the time to beat 6:14 by Simmons, who is category 2. Who is going to take it? Who's going to be the fastest? Will it be our leaders? Will it be the chasers behind?
Well,
look at this. Come on.
That is the chase group setting the fastest time with a 5:38 from Hoyos, Mel, X100, Fawcett, Zanaska, Vanden Eckhart, Knudsen, and Van Elst. 22 seconds quicker Hoyos was up that climb than Popovic, Graves, and Vujasin.
35.5 seconds quicker than Olivier Simmons, who is by far the fastest category 2 rider prior to that with the fastest time. Absolutely killing that climb there. And Hoyos, the man who has been sat in the group and worked his way back across, doing a great job. But
talking about doing a great job, Knudsen now making it a lead group of 4 riders.
So 4 riders up on the front of the group, and the battles on the road are almost as fierce as the battle in the commentary box here. There's so much happening. There's so much to talk about. Knudsen has made contact. We saw him go onto the back of the group as came over the top. He's signaling. Everyone is using those emotes. You can do your bolt. You can do your punch in the air in celebration. But the most useful one by far is get on with it and take a turn. It's time to work together and really make the riders behind suffer. And if you think you've got a pure climber like Hoyos behind you, now is the way. This is how to make them suffer, because you are pushing on the downhill. This is the chasing group. These are the riders who nearly made contact and missed their chance to close it down. Knudsen got across. This group has not. And that means that they've now got to repeat the process all over again. 8 seconds, 10 seconds, 7 seconds. It's yo-yoing at the moment, but it is a gap that is there, and it's a gap that now requires work to close down once again. I mean, it was grabbing distance.
It also requires work to keep that gap there. There's no point having made the juncture to that group and then not working to keep it going unless you want it to come back together again. And I'd be saying, if there are 4 of you in that front group, 4, there's 5 steps on the podium, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chase riders. There are not.
They are. 100% disagree.
There's not 11 steps on the podium, is there?
Well, no, that's true. There's not 11 steps on the podium, but I tell you something. There's those 4 riders at the front. They've got 4. They've got it nailed on, surely. But no, I think it's going to come back together. I cannot see those 4 having put this effort in, being able to hang on, because not everybody's working in that chasing group. These are the leaders here in category 1. They are the 4 riders who are still having to work. They're taking the turn. What they don't want is they don't want any passengers in this group. They don't want anybody going, well, I'm just not going to take my turn. I'm a bit tired at the moment. They want everybody moving quickly.
Well, I think Popovic and Knudsen are going to be eyeing that final climb anyway. We know they are phenomenal climbers. Vujasin can go with them. Graves, well, we know he's a master of attacking and dig after dig after dig, but we haven't seen his climbing prowess in the Category 1 race field. On the right-hand side of your screen, do you know the Category 2 race field are not that far away, but it's a big bunch at the front of that field as they are on a small climb at the moment. They are heading towards the Liwa Desert Sprint, just this climb up and over before they reach that segment. Now, Spratt is in there, Ospina, Montoya, Kirchner is in there as well. It's looking like a great group. They're starting to lose 1 or 2 riders off the bat. Bjarhead and Winfield are in there as well. That is going to be a great race as well.
So Category 2 looking really exciting, braking, reforming. Category 1, we've got a more defined attack, which has stayed clear so far. That gap is up at around about, I think, 10 seconds or so at the moment. We're just taking a little bit of a check as they go in and through. This is the pack behind, and they're on the climb. So from the aquarium, they dive down, they go into the dip, and then climbed up and out the other side. And these riders now on that ascent on the way out. Let's take a look at that desert sprint. Remember, this is a snapshot on the times. Il Pino taking the fastest time. Really interesting result there. Then it's Mr. X100. Then it's Simmons. Then Knudsen. And for me, the best thing about this, we've got a Category 4 rider and a Category 3 rider in the top 12 at the moment.
Well, we have indeed, and packs are picking up some of the back markers, Matt, and I think what's happening is they're sitting in those groups and taking that toe through.
Yep.
So the back markers in Category 3 and the back markers in Category 4 finding a comfortable spot in the fields through those segments and taking a toe, putting them in the top 12 in that segment overall.
So here we go with the riders now. Look at this. We're looking at Van Elst here. We've got Graves, Popovic, Hoyos, Knudsen. This group really has formed into a very big leading group. Let's take a look. I think that is 6 riders or so in there. And Knudsen, Hoyos, Graves, Vujasin, Popovic, Van Elst leading. Van den Eekhout, they're trying to close this down, but now with 6 riders, surely this is the time to push on, because with 6 riders, they have got, I think, almost as many in here as the chasing group has behind. And when you start to get parity in numbers, you start to get into a race winning move rather than a move that's just going to do damage behind. And that could be what we're going to see here, because this group now, I think if they don't take this in, they really want to give themselves a good slap around the face, because they are, this is it, this is a race winning move.
I wouldn't recommend hurting yourself over a bike race deliberately to tell yourself off.
What do you think their legs are doing? They're going to be screaming at them. The pain in that will be anything, miles more than anything. This is not a move to give away. This is not a move to just waste.
Let's take a look, because it's Fawcett that is coming across the gap at the moment. So 6 riders clear: Popovic, Hoyos, Knudsen, Vujasin, Van Elst, Zanaska, Graves just looking like he's off the pace there a little, but Fawcett 4 seconds back. Van den Eekhout is there as well. This is just continuous.
Yeah, I've sat down.
It's like a washing machine rotation.
It is. But I'm sorry, I'm having a little sulk. I'm sitting down in disgust because they've blown it. They've blown it. I normally commentate stood up. If you don't know, I normally stand up and dance around the studio. I've sat down in disgust.
One day I will video Matt Payne dancing around the studio whilst commentating.
I sat down in disgust because that is a blown, wasted opportunity. And you know what? I love seeing aggressive racing. Right, let's go across to Category 3 and Category 4 leaders, because this is going to be a catch. And I tell you something, it's exciting in Category 1. Category 3 and 4 is intriguing. That is the word I'm going to use, because I'm loving the fact that these are such big groups together. Maybe they should have told us what was likely to happen in Category 1.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it? So Category 4, the leaders on the road, coming now together with Category 3 as the Category 3 bunch make the catch. It's a huge group of riders now at the front of the race field, live on the road. It's a pure mix of blue jerseys and red jerseys as they sweep round the right-hand bend now. It is Nowak is in here, Britta, Miller, Butt, Roncalli, Mangat, Staples, Esteban, Gakes. They are all in this group, and it is a real mix. The Category 3 group not taking the opportunity to charge past the Category 4 leading group. Coming up for 32 kilometres of this race, they are all together on the road.
And from this point until we reach the start of the climb, we have rolling ground. We have the bridges that you're seeing now. There's no long, massive climb. And I think what's really telling here is that we are seeing Category 4 and 3 riders all together over here, and it's stretching a little. But at the front, you're seeing riders like Jan Dekker up here as they push up and use that climb. And this pack know that they are on the run in towards the main climb. This is where they can really make this count. So at the moment, our leaders on the road are a mix of Category 4 and Category 3 riders. These are the riders at the moment who have covered the most distance at 32.5 kilometers. The riders who are chasing and the leaders who are the furthest back, well, they are the Category 1. They're at 26.5K. And as we look at this group, let's tell you what's happened. Essentially, we have seen a breakaway that was initially 1 rider, then 3 riders, then 4 riders. It went up to 6 riders, but then the breakaway lost its cohesion. It came back together again. It basically became what was a group of riders, maybe not a bunch, but a group. And now, once again, we're seeing a move on the front and an attack on the front just as the riders went over the top into this descent. And at the moment, you can see that Mr. X100 is just stretching his legs out here. Really interesting to see. Now, Mr. X100 is a rider who will not want this to go too slow. He's going to want to pull the pace back up again. He likes the racing really hard.
Well, I'm giggling because I can see Graves, and it's Graves, the rider, who's closed the gap to X100, not letting X100 get off the front. Graves closed it down. Mer and Hoyes are popping through with Popovic and Van Elst and Nelson all together now as they come up at 27.4 kilometres of this race and 41 minutes of racing under the wheels.
So Mr. X100 is trying to keep it at 4.9 watts per kilo, 5 watts per kilo. He can sit at that pace all day long. It's absolutely phenomenal. But he doesn't like it when he goes into the sort of 14, 15 watts per kilo, that big hard thing. So he's going to want to keep it hard, and he's doing that. He has been known to despair off the front. And don't forget, Mr. X100, not just the road captain for the UAE clan team, but he is a rider who can repeatedly take victory at the top of the tree, the top of the standings, and take away a win. We saw him put a phenomenal ride in at the top of the Jebel Hafi and at the top of the Jebel Yais when we're on the MyWhoosh Championship. And don't forget, of course, the MyWhoosh Championship with that $1 million prize fund has sent out not just the prizes in terms of the monetary value, but also some amazing prizes. And if you have been posting the pictures of you receiving your medal, receiving your jersey on the championship, thank you very, very much. Really do appreciate them. Hope you like the prizes, the jerseys that really are celebrating the fact that we have such a great MyWhoosh Championship. It's brilliant to see. And everybody loves a winner.
They do indeed. And can we just take the opportunity, whilst the racing has a little way to go yet, to talk about another competition at the moment. So Matt and I both are part and parcel of the Fantasy Tour de France League.
Yes.
And last week,
yep,
we'd only had stage 1. I had the winner, Adam Yates, as part and parcel of my team.
The UAE Emirates team rider who had a great ride, took the win from his brother.
On stage 1.
On stage 1.
Now, the question is, have I repeated that during the week? And where do Matt and I stand in the Fantasy Tour de France League? I can confirm.
Come on, put me out of my misery.
330 points ahead of you.
330 points ahead.
Yep. Only one member of my team is yet to score points.
Okay. That's not bad going. That is not bad going at all. So at the moment, you are leading me by 300 plus points. And how many is your total?
Hold on, I can tell you. I have 2,996 race points.
So I'm about 10% behind.
Yeah.
I've got 90% of the points of you have.
You do.
Ish.
But there is, of course, still some way to go.
Well, do you know what? Today's going to change all that.
You think?
It is, because like our riders here who have a summit finish, it's the classic Puy de Dôme. My prediction is for a Tadej Pogacar win and take the lead off Jonas Vingegaard at the top of the Tour de France standings when we get to the top of the Puy de Dôme later today. And my prediction here is, I'm not going to tell you because I've got no idea how this massive bunch of...
What is your prediction for the Sunday Race Club?
Yeah, I tell you what, it's going to be thrilling. That's my prediction. No, if I had to put money on it, I would say we are going to see riders breaking clear, and we will have a few seconds between them. I can't see us having a bunch sprint at the top, particularly with the finish of the climb here. It is steep, it rolls up, and the profile of this climb is really, really steep at the end. It's got a steep start that we're on here, and the riders are on the way up. So this is a steep start. You're seeing the category 3 and 4 riders on. We're going to take a look at that now. So here we go. Let's run you through this. We are on the step up. You can just see the little yellow section coming in at the start at 34.5k. We're on that steep ramp there. We go, it levels off, and then it is a consistent gradient with steps in it. But look at the very top of the climb. You have a peak, the summit peak. You then drop again, and then it climbs to the line. And the drop down and the climb to the line mean you've got to be in contention when you get to the very top, when you come out of the tunnel and come out over the top of the first peak, but you've then got to be able to take the momentum through the dip and onto the rise into the finish. Absolutely critical. So our riders in category 3 and 4 are about to hit the red section on the right of your screens. It's a little bit further back, but not that far to the riders in category 2 and category 1.
So last time we were on the Habit Hafit, it was the men's May final, and our category 1 riders completed the race in 1 hour and 19 minutes. At that time, it was Knudsen from Popovic, from Van Elst, Osborne and Martins. Now, Martins and Osborne are not in the race today, but let me tell you how close it was, because the UAE clan team took the team competition win. Let's remember, 3 riders in the team, their scores added together, from the Belgian Waffles, and the gap between those 2 teams for first and second place was 9 seconds, which tells you how close the 6 riders across those 2 squads were going across the line.
And the winning time was how long?
1 hour 19 minutes.
So basically 1 hour 20 times 3, that's 4 hours of racing. So you put 4 hours of racing for one team and 4 hours of racing for the other team together, and they were separated by 9 seconds.
Exactly.
That is close. Now, will it be that close today? I'm not going to ask Emma. I occasionally throw to Emma and say, Emma, tell us your prediction. I'm not going to be mean today and do that, because she might throw it back to me and ask me, and I don't want to have to do that today, because this is really interesting. Now, we are seen and split, and we saw category 3 and category 4 leaders together on the lower slopes. That has not transpired as we've gone up the climb. You can see on the bottom of your screen category 3 on the left of your screen, category 4 on the right of your screen, and the slopes, these brutal, tough slopes that are the start of the Jebel Hafit climb that come up from Al Ain, they are the slopes that have split the groups. Alberto Roncalli heading up the climb. He is the leader on the road. You can see him on your screens now, and the category 3 riders are now together. The category 4 riders have been dropped off this group as the pace has got tougher. It's not got quicker. We're on the climb, remember, but it's got tougher because we are on these slopes. And the gradient, Emma, I mean, we're talking about it going up to 16, 17% in places. We've got some real brutal climbs. We got 13%, we've got 11 at the moment. It varies massively, doesn't it?
It does indeed, because it's quite a stepped climb. You know, there are some exceptionally steep sections, 13, 14%, and then it'll level out and drop to around 1%. Then it kicks again, then it'll level, then it kicks again. And we'll see the riders, if it is anything like the women's race, who were indeed on this climb as well today, we'll see the group stretch and then come back together again on the flatter sections if they are close enough.
Well, the man trying to do that stretch at the moment is Johan Aaron. Aaron, another of our riders who really has progressed and started to show his true strength and his true ability, I think, as he is now in with the challenge for the race lead here. Ron Cowley back onto the front. Tom Gates in there. Guar in Staples looks like Sabalos in that massive group of riders on the way up that slope. However, they're not going to be alone on those slopes for long. They may have dispatched the riders behind in Category 4, but Category 2 and Category 1 are on the way. And this is the leading group of Category 1 riders on the left of your screen. On the right-hand side of your screen, these are the leaders in Category 2. At the moment, the distance between them is 2 kilometers, almost to the meter. And Category 2 going underneath the start of the climb banner, the time climb, the final segment of the day, the Jebel Hafid climb, and the climb banner going in just before the start and at the end of the climb, but not the end of today's stage. A few hundred meters more at the end to take you into our finish line. Category 2, though, they've hit the climb. They're all together. They've got 1K lead on Category 1.
They have a kilometre lead on Category 1 on your right, Matt, when the riders go under the polka dot banner, signifying the end of the Jebel Hafid climb. There is 500 metres left to the checkered flag. Now, this Category 2 pack still really bunched up in these lower slopes. The gradient at 10.9% at the moment, 11% ticking skywards, and the group all still together. Look at those red numbers on your screen. Bjarhead and Simmons are right towards the front of that group and stretching it out. Spratt and Winfield, Montoya and Kirchner all in there as well.
So the riders continue to push. Look at the stretch, look at the gaps, look at the distance that is opening up between these riders as they make their way up on to the climb. They're going up towards the first leveling, the first platform. You can just see the gradient will ease. We're in with Olivier Simmons. He's got the lead over Bjarhead, Pino, Spratt, Kirchner, Winfield. All these riders know that they've got to keep on pushing here to stay with those leaders as Jonas Bjarhead goes over the top. He's rolled over the top by Simmons. These riders, I tell you, they do not want to let this gap go back and let the other riders back in. They're trying to keep the pace ahead at a really high pace, and it's hard, isn't it, Emma, as you go up the steep to continue that level of exertion when it levels, or in this case dips.
Absolutely, it is indeed the difference in gradient requiring quite a different technique and a different riding style to a constant steady climb. So some of the climbs we see on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club sit at around 5% for a long period of time. That is a very different technique to ride and race than this climb today that will hit 13-14% and then level, or even the climb that we see in Australia in Wollongong, when we see the exceptionally steep climbs with gradients of around 17%.
Yep, very, very interesting. Different pacing, different ways of riding this now. Mr. X100 is on his way. We've seen
8
him
seconds.
keep that pace. We saw him go clear. He set a time trial style pace into the base of the climb, and he is going to take the Category 1 lead through underneath the banner. He's still got, 8 to 10 seconds. I'll tell you something. We know he can time trial. We know he can sit at a pace. This, for me, is one of the most dangerous moves of the day. Mr. X100 with a lead going into the climb and able to sit at his own tempo on this climb and ride his way up here. And if they look at each other behind, if they are just attacking and then easing, they may not get him back.
Well, it is going to be an interesting one to watch because, as you say, X100, they've given him 10, 12 seconds going into this climb. And there's a group of Category 2 riders all in the mix now. Further up the road, Category 3 and Category 4 riders all going to start to get in the way of the sight line to X100.
And that sight line is key. The phrase out of sight, out of mind, it was used earlier on this climb in the women's race. We're using it again here because out of sight is out of mind, and that is where it goes gets really interesting now. Just keeping an eye on the chasing group. They're just coming up on Taylor Gonsolin, a rider who had a great MyWhoosh championship, somebody who we know is strong in a time trial. He is now going to have to dig in deep. He can see this group of Category 1 chasers just going past him. Reno just in front. You've got Karen Cahan, Wayne Smith, a real... these are class riders.
Well, what I'm loving is Popovic and Knudsen are just marking the back of this group and letting everybody do the work to chase down X100. They are not part and parcel of that drive at the front. So Popovic and Knudsen not doing any of the work to bring back their teammate.
Let the other riders burn themselves out. Let them do the damage. Let them burn all of that energy chasing down Mr. X100 if they can, and then you watch the moment that they get back, they're going to be there. Now, Mr. X100 onto the next flat step. It's fractionally downhill. You can see its pace 50 kilometers an hour as he hurtles down there. Meanwhile, the chasers are on the climbing on the ascent section here before they get back on to the descent. Really interesting to see the difference in the riders as Mr. X100 hits the next part of the climb. He's currently at 6% climb almost. Here we go, 6%. Yeah, meanwhile, the rest of the riders just ascending the very start of this part of the slope.
Yeah, and you know, he's got 100 meters now. Yeah, that is a really interesting gap, and there's still Category 2 riders in between them. So X100 now around 10 seconds down the road. Rhino is the rider between them at the moment. Zanaska doing the chasing. Popovic now coming to the front, but Vujasin is there with Hoyas. So these riders all still pushing on. Popovic coming to the front of that group now. It's quickly moving to the back again. Vujasin continues. You know, it's sitting at around 8 to 10 seconds, Matt.
It's 8 to 10 seconds in between. Is Ishmael Nogueira, the rider who's done his verification. He came into Category 1. He's been tested, he's been challenged, and we now have got him in Category 3. Good to see that he's done his time in Category 1. You've got to do your time on the way through, and then once you've done that and you've got the verification and you've got the rides in, you get moved to the appropriate category. Good to see you on and in the racing. But the Category 1 chasing group are on the way up. Do you know what? If Miss X100 made this over the finishing line, I'd have a celebratory ice cream, because that would be a fantastic result.
There is still a long way to go up this mountain. It is not a short climb today. We've got 10 kilometers of climbing with an average gradient of 7%. And you know what? They are coming back.
Come on, Mr. X100. This is the time to make them hurt. They can't keep on going after you forever. Come on, buddy. This is where you've got to make it count.
Is Van Els leading the charge now? Van Els second to Knudsen last week when we were in Australia. So X100, Hoyas, Vujasin, Van Elst, Zanaska and Popovic. Van den Eekhout is in here too with Knudsen. So this is such a select group of Category 1 racers.
I tell you something, he's keeping that pace there. 5.8 watts per kilo, 5.6. He's pushing here and he's making them work for every single centimetre on the way back as they come back together. Now watch to see what happens in amongst his teammates. Remember, Pablo Popovic, Michael Knudsen, teammates of Mr. X100, have been sat on the group. They've not been contributing to the chase in any way, shape or form. We've still got people like Zanaska in here. We've got Fawcett in here. We've got Vujasin, Van Elst in here. We've got Hoyos in here. Mr. X100 is still on the front here, but surely it's just a matter of time until the team from the UAE clan team fire another rider down the road. Who's it going to be? Just keeping an eye on the left-hand side of our screen. Phil Graves, our early protagonist, is now distanced. He is now 350 metres behind. I think Phil Graves' legs have well and truly fallen off now.
Well, it leaves 9 riders in that leading group in the Category 1 race. They've got 1 Category 2 rider in the mix at the moment as well. The gradient's eased off a little at the moment. It's around 6%. Now, that may not sound like easing off to many, but it is currently ticking upwards. So, well, actually, I say that, it drops down. It's constantly changing, the gradient, now currently at over 8%. So a constantly changing gradient on this climb today. The leaders in our Category 1 race on the left-hand side of your screen, and that is Category 2 on the right-hand side of your screen. They are 1 kilometre up the mountain.
They're 1 kilometre up the mountain. Ilpino, Simmons and Bjarhead with a 5-second lead. It's tenuous at the moment, but they could make this stick. Now, I think we're going to see these riders close down. Currently, the leading Category 2 rider is in 30th position. That is Olivier Simmons. Simmons at the moment at the front of a trio of riders just clear of the chase behind. You can just see Jose Ricardo Betty in that 4th position. And then it's going to be Winfield, I think, about 5th, Montoya in about 6th place. That is in Category 2, but they are still a substantial way down the slope compared to riders in Category 3 and 4. Really interesting to see. Just in front, Kaluma, Noack and Decker. They were very aggressive riders in Category 4, currently now being caught and passed by the leaders in Category 2. Category 2 is fracturing. Category 3, they are leaders on the road at the moment, on the way up the climb. And of course, our Category 1, they're chasing, but look at Category 3 go. Sergio Hoyos, Alberto Roncalli, Tom Gates, Juan Guarin. You've got Johan Aron, Andrea in here. We've got Dorvin in here. This is a big pack. In fact, you can hear Emma counting in the background.
You can.
She's going to try and work out how many's in here. My guess is 8.
9.
Well, it wasn't a bad guess. I'll take that. That's about as good a win as I get these days. If I can't win at the Fantasy Tour de France League, I'm going to try and win in the guessing game of how many people there are in the pack. Tell you what is really interesting is the similarities in Category 3 and in Category 1 here. You've got a leading pack of similar number of riders, really, together on the upper slopes here. The same in Category 2. I mean, it was a little bit more fractured, but not much, and probably going to go back together again. And you can just see a real difference now as we change through these gradients. Mr. X100 was leading this group. He's just off the back here, but he's coming back onto the wheels once again. His numbers tend to stay a little bit more static, but he sets that pace, and that makes it tough for everybody else. The moment they want a rest, they know that they can't afford to, because you're going to see Mr. X100 just ride his pace straight through that group if they ease off too much. Now, getting tough. It's going to get even tougher to come around this bend. It'll ease, it'll kick, it eases and kicks again. We're at 14.6% on the right-hand section as you came around that hairpin turn. That is when it's really going to kick in. All of this being fed into the riders by their turbo trader, by their smart bike, as it feeds back in as the changing in gradient, and it's quick changes there. That's very fast, and that's really, really painful. It breaks up your rhythm. It makes it much harder to race hard when that rhythm is changing all the time. These are the best riders here on MyWhoosh, a real star-studded cast of international superstars of the esports world, who will be at the top of the tree when we get to the summit. Well, we have still got 7.2k to go.
We do indeed. 7.2 kilometres to go for this Category 1 race field. The categories ahead of them on the road continuing to climb further up, heading towards the 40-kilometre mark. But there may be 50 riders ahead of them, but there's not a lot in terms of distance. You can see on the top right-hand corner of your screen, all the way round the bend, that multi-coloured line out, the Category 1 riders in yellow, the Category 2 riders in green, Category 3 in blue, and Category 4 in red. They are scattered up the mountain like skittles, and well, I think this group are going to start knocking them over as they pass.
Well, I think they are. I think that's a great analogy because they are coming through a bit like a bowling ball down the 10-pin lane. They're going to send them flying. And I'll tell you something, we're seeing a bit of pressure being applied now by Juan Hoyos. He's started to open it up. He's come to the front. Vujasin quickly responding. Van Elst responding as well. But everybody quickly on to the move. Nobody wants to let a gap go. They know there's still plenty of distance, 13, 12%, just easing off a little bit as we come out onto this longer, straighter section here on the flanks of the Yellow Hafita, overlooking down onto Al Ain. And as they come up this climb, more riders. Florian Dromard and Alex Pleasure, two superstars of Category 3. Well, they are being caught. We've got Henry Uys in front as well, the man in Category 2. I bet he's suffering on that turbo train. I'm sure the picture that he'd send on social media now wouldn't look quite as cool, calm and composed as it did. Henry, put it on social media. Let us see the before and after
and a before
picture.
and after shot.
Oh, yeah. If you can hold a camera at the end of this, or somebody can hold one for you, because I tell you something, this has been a tough day today. We are still on our way up the slopes. We still got plenty of distance for our riders, and there will be people out there a long time today. Wherever you are in that race field, it's time to dig in. It's time to make your way to the top of the slope. Don't forget the full results on MyWhoosh.com. Just click on to results. You'll see on there that they are live at the moment. They will change to unofficial at the end of the race, and then they will be verified. And at that stage, they are the confirmed results, and those are the people, if they're in the top 5, who will be getting that prize money.
Yeah, they will indeed, but the question is, in Category 1, will it be Hoyos, Popovic, Van Elst, Vujasin, Knudsen? Who will take that top step? X100, Van den Eckhout, or Fawcett? You know, these riders absolutely been giving it their all day today on Sunday Race Club. We saw Graves, Popovic and Vujasin push on at the start. We've seen them brought back in. We've seen X100 go up the road, you know, and now we're seeing Zanaska pushing on the front as they come around the bend here. Hoyos marking Zanaska, Van Elst in 3. It's Popovic and Vujasin with Knudsen and X100 towards the latter part of this race field in this Category 1 leading group at the moment.
So our riders on the ascent, Category 1 attacking again. That's taking them up through the riders. Ospina, the next rider to see the express train coming through. The yellow bullet train making its way up this slope. At the moment, Zanaska and Hoyos are the riders doing the damage. Who can stay with them? Is anybody going to be shed? And is anybody going to suffer irreparable harm on the climb? Well, you can guarantee everybody's legs are going to be feeling that way. There on the left of your screen, on the right of your screen. Well, will it be my tip for the top? My ongoing win of the year. Pretty much it's going to be Tom Gates. They are the riders who are at the front. It's Category 3 leading the way up the slope. But Category 1, it's stretched out, and they're on to Nicholas Spratt, and that shows you just how fast they're going.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see Category 3, the leaders on the road at the moment, 1.3 kilometres further up the climb than this Category 1 leading pack that we are in with at the moment as they continue to push on. They're continuing to dig deep up this climb at the moment. Now Spratt, the Category 2 rider in the mix at the moment, literally splitting this group. It's got X100 and Van den Eckhout behind. Then Ian Lloyd, the Category 3 rider, just dropping off that group.
So are we going to see another change? Ian Lloyd, another rider with a great championship. He did a great ride taking the, I think it was the age category win, if I'm not much mistaken. I'll do a little bit of casting back of my mind to see who was where, what, where, and when. But I'm pretty sure Lloyd was doing the business in the age category. So can he do the business today and take away the prize? He's got a lot of work to do. Category 2 leaders, right hand side of the screen: Simmons, Bjarhead, Ilpino, Montoya, Betty. They are the riders who are setting the pace at the moment. It's Simmons who is up at the front with Bjarhead. This duo have been ticking along nicely. Pinot has been answering the call. So has Montoya. Betty is not far behind, but this is a select group of riders in Category 2 in those green jerseys making the way up the slope here. You can just see the moment somebody pushes, someone else will try and answer it.
Yeah, it is indeed a select group of Category 2 riders. Pinot, Simmons, Montoya and Biarhead, really, really strong riders, strong climbers. It was Biarhead who took the win last week, but we were on the Australian outer loop that has the climb in the middle of the course and then a flatter run in to the finish. So, will it be Simmons on the top of this Category 1 climb today? Will it be Biarhead? Pinot could be there as well. But this is the Category 1 race. They are not that much further down the road behind them. It's Zanaska leading the charge at the moment. Van Elst in 2, Popovic in 3, Vujasin in 4, Knudsen 5, Hoyer 6, X100 7th. Van den Eekhout is now 7 seconds back. So this group really starting to challenge these riders.
So who will it be? Is it going to be Zanaska? Will it be Van Elst? Will they spoil the UAE clan team's party up at the top? It's continuing to split. You can see that leading a group of what is, I think, 6 riders going through with 5 kilometers left to cover. We are into the final slopes of the climb very shortly. Remember, this climb over 10k long. We've gone over the 50% marker of the climb. We're into the last part of the race, and Knudsen now at 7.5 watts per kilo is pushing as he comes up into this right-hand bend. And I tell you something, this gradient kicks. It's got a nasty little kicker in the middle of it as you come around that right-hand turn. 12.5% he just went up to. Carrying that power and pace in really critical. He's got Popovic on his wheel pretty much. Hoyos has come up as well. Zanaska is leading the charge of the chasers behind. So with no hair, no helmet, it's Knudsen on the front. Popovic with the black helmet and the blue gloves immediately behind them with the black stripe down the middle of the helmet. That is Hoyos just going up and through. Now we're just watching these riders go through. Vujasin is in his Zanaska. Van Elst. These riders are all in touch, and no matter what they do, no matter what they throw down, well, at the moment they are not breaking enough riders off that group.
Well, it was Knudsen last week who took the win in Australia, but he rode 20 kilometres off the front on a lone breakaway. He's not going to do that today. There's 4.4 kilometres to go, and he has got some serious company. So Knudsen, Popovic, Hoyos, Vujasin, Zanaska, Van Elst, X100. They were and are the leaders in the Category 1 race, but we've got a number of riders starting to break away now. So Knudsen is there, so is Popovic and Hoyos. These 3 riders pushing on and breaking away from the rest of that leading group in Category 1.
So Category 1 leaders continue to push up to 40.85k covered, 40.75 about to be hit for Mr. X100. He was staying with that group for a long time, just now being distanced off that group. He's still not that far behind, but I think it'll be too much now to be able to try his way back in with the leaders. We got riders scattered all the way down the slopes of the Jebel Hafit as we move into the upper stages. The riders with less than 4 kilometers to go now in the lead of the Category 1 race. Remember that we have riders further up the slopes at the moment. The leaders on the road, they are at 42 kilometers covered, 3k to go. Tom Gates, Alberto Roncalli, Johan Oren, Jack Staples, David Winfield, Sergio Hoyos, the riders in contention. But I tell you what, Gates is on a good ride today. Maybe I ought to pick him up more.
Yeah, I think you should. I'm going to give you one, Matt, if you have picked that winner. I'll credit you one of the riders and one win. You can't have the fantasy football, the fantasy Tour de France win, but you can have Tom Gates if he takes it to the line first in this Category 3 race.
Oh, give me MyWhoosh over a fantasy Tour de France league anytime. It's obviously worth much more in terms of kudos. Right, and it's probably harder to call, to be brutally honest.
I was going to say, maybe it is harder to call. It probably is, actually. You've got 4 races to call every day.
There you go. Right, up on to the top. We're just going to make our way out and past. You can see the crowds cheering on our riders. Our avatars are there on the way up. Hopefully our riders have some support wherever they are riding as they come up. Some really strong rides coming out. Sergio Hoyos, David Winfield, Bernard Magat's on his way up here. Let's see who is going to take it out. In that race, we've got Category 2 battling away in front of Category 1. At the moment, we're seeing a split developing, and it's Popovic, Hoyos, and Knudsen, 2 riders from the clan team, with Juan Hoyos, who have a gap.
Yeah.
Wait for this.
12 seconds.
Yeah, beat me to the punchline.
12 seconds back to Vujasin, Zanaska, Van Elst, and then a further 4 seconds back to X100. So 3 riders, 3 chasers, 1 rider just off the back. That was the group of 7 that we had coming up this mountain in the Category 1 race. So 2 groups of 3 and then X100 just off the back.
So here we go. We are now coming in to the final 3K very shortly, and this is about the push up here. 3 riders have gone for this, and they are trying to break clear, trying to ensure that they will be in those top 5 prize winning slots. Well, it says burn fat, not fuel, happy cycling, and I'm not so sure how much happiness is being gained by the riders behind trying to chase as Michael Knudsen pushes at 9 watts per kilo. He's approaching 10, he hits 10 watts per kilo off the exit of the bend and on to this straightaway here. He has pushed. Popovic is trying to answer this with Hoyos. They're going to come up, and it's Hoyos who's gone over the top. And the 2 clan team riders of Popovic, along with Knudsen, won't want that to be the decisive move by Hoyos. Meanwhile, we're in with Simeons as well as Il Pino and Montoya. They are the 3 riders leading Category 2. And I'll tell you something, this is another brutal race. They're literally just in front of those Category 1 riders who are immediately behind. They're on the way up. I think Mark Dadson, Carlos Esteban, they're going to see them. Here they go. This is something else again. What a race. And up through them goes Juan Hoyos. Hoyos with that black helmet, black shorts, currently in the lead in Category 1. Coming in through the Category 2 leaders, Simmons and Il Pino and Montoya. Here we go on to the next long straight section. And this is where it really hurts, because you can be seen and you can see what you need to do.
Well, the question is, will any of those 3 leaders in the Category 2 race dig deep and take as much for a tow as they possibly can from these Category 1 riders? I'm not sure it's possible because of the pace these Category 1 riders are going at. But Simmons is giving it a go. Absolutely dug there really, really deep, but very quickly off the power, because Hoyos, Knudsen and Popovic, well, that's between 5 and 7 watts per kilo at the moment.
It is, and what you can't afford to do is send yourself so far in the red that you blow, because although we are now less than 2.5 kilometers to the summit for the riders in Category 1 and Category 2 race leads, you could lose minutes, not just seconds. If you blow, you go into that red zone too far, you are not going to recover, and you can be not just a spent force, you can be a broken man.
Well, 800 meters now from this leading Category 1 and Category 2 pack to the front of the race, and that's on the right hand side of your screen. Our Category 3 race field, currently the leaders on the road at the moment, coming up to 43.8 kilometers of this 45 kilometer race. Roncalli, Staples, Aaron, all in this mix. You know, Winfield is not far back, so is Montoya. This is a big group, you know, 6 riders all within 3 seconds of each other.
I'll tell you something, we've been talking about pretty much all of them here, because they have all taken a turn on the front. They've all had a go. They've just dropped Winfield, they've just dropped Magat, but I think now, surely with the distance that is left, 1 kilometer to the race finish, the top 5 is going to come from what is potentially these 5 riders, Roncalli, Gates, Staples, Aaron, Mortello, and Monello, they are the riders at the front of the race. Montello, Monello from Italy, his countryman Roncalli. We have got the Dutchman in there in Gates. We've got Staples in here, the Antipodean rider on Aaron's wheel. Aaron now on the front from Sweden. So our multi-continental riders are making the way up here with Gates chasing Roncalli. The stretch is on, and Roncalli's dug deep there. He's in the red zone on the right-hand side of his screen. On the left-hand side, Hoyos is trying to break clear of Popovic and Knudsen. He's racing up towards these riders at the moment, and I think he can see them in his sights. He's not that far behind, but the race leaders at the moment now, with 700 meters to go, are your Category 3 riders, as the Category 1 leader is working his way up. He's up into 10th overall. It's a matter of a few hundred meters between them. Will he make it?
Well, we're going to see the Category 1 race field finish before the Category 3 race field, or will Gates, Staples and Roncalli take it to the line? They have got 550 meters to go as they just come through the end of the climb banner. That is indeed the Hebel Hafit climb banner that signifies the end of that climb, and 500 meters to the finish. Gates, Staples, Roncalli pushing. Aaron coming fast from behind, up and over the top of the 3 leaders. So Aaron coming straight from 4th into 1st place. Staples responding, Gates responding, Roncalli responding. Staples pushes really hard, 10 watts per kilo. He wants the win. So does Roncalli. They're going to sweep round the corner and they're going to see the banner. Staples, Roncalli, Aaron, Gates. Who is going to take this? I think it's going to be Staples. Staples is your winner in the Category 3 race on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's qualifier race number 2 in July.
So Staples taking that. What a finish. Your Category 3 riders didn't disappoint. I'm surprised got any legs left whatsoever. Meanwhile, this is the battle for the front of Category 1. Juan Hoyos in here. He is the rider with the black helmet and red stripes on that helmet. You've got the man with the black helmet, all black, Pablo Popovic. You've got Michael Knudsen, the man with no helmet. He's gone for the full-on aero, and they're over the top. They're into the dip here. This is the last 400, now 300 meters to go. Who's going to get the momentum right? Is it going to be Knudsen? Will it be momentum master Popovic? Knudsen has got the lead here. Is he going to get overtaken? Hoyos is coming, so is Popovic. Knudsen's responding. Popovic is on his wheel. He comes to the left-hand side with the black helmet. They're side by side. Knudsen responds on the inside line here. This could be a photo finish, but Popovic is going to make it his. Or is he? It's Knudsen. Knudsen takes it. That came down to the last few meters. What a finish. What a sprint. What a ride.
Oh, absolute excitement in Category 1 and in Category 3, and this is Olivier Simmons in the Category 2 race. He's 20 seconds on Il Pino behind him. As Simmons pushes, he kicks up round this final corner, continuing in the lead in this Category 2 race. 8 watts per kilo at the moment. As he sees the finish banner in front of him, Vujasin just pops round him to take the place in the Category 1, but it's Olivier Simmons who takes the win in Category 2.
I think it's going to be Il Pino, then Montoya in 2nd and 3rd place in that second category competition as they come in and through the line. And remember, all of our riders' results will be on the MyWhoosh.com website. They're live at the moment and they continue to come in. You can see Mr. X100, he was so long out of the front coming into the base of this climb. He's set his own pace up here and he's making his way into the race finish here. We've got riders of all categories coming across, but it's going to be the road captain for the UAE clan team, Mr. X100. He comes in and over the line. What a result for them. They've really dominated the team standings with a 1-2. Michael Knudsen in 1, Pablo Popovic in 2, their third counting rider, Mr. X100, he came in 7th place. Great rise by Juan Hoyos, line of Vujasin, Stefan van Elst and Lucas Naska, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, respectively.
Olivier Simmons taking the win from Il Pino and Montoya in Category 2. And Jack Staples taking the win from Roncalli, Aaron Gakes and Monella in Category 3.
So our Category 1, 2 and 3 winners in. We'll wait for those to be confirmed. Of course, all the results at the moment are live. Make sure you jump on board. Come and have a ride. Jump on the Tune Up Tuesday. Jump on the Sunday Race Club. Make sure that you watch the Tour de France today if you get the chance, because it's going to be an absolute cracker. Let's see if Tadej for the UAE team is going to be able to take a victory. Can they
the
match
finish
this?
match this?
I doubt it somehow. The Sunday Race Club never fails to keep us on our toes here in the commentary box. I hope you've enjoyed the coverage. It's been a pleasure putting words to the action. My name's Matt Payne. You can find me at Matt Fix Payne. Where can we find you, Emma?
You can find me at Biking Emma on Instagram. Get in touch, or we will see you next week.
We will indeed. So from myself, from Emma Martin, from the amazing team who bring us the pictures and all of the racing at MyWhoosh. Stay safe, have fun, enjoy your riding, enjoy the racing. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.